Alright guys, welcome to our first edition of the public Elliott wave analysis videos. This is something I'm going to be doing weekly or bi-weekly as I can. I'll take some chart requests and I'll cover 3 charts a week. The first chart will always be Bitcoin or Ethereum. Second chart will be a crypto of the public's input. And the third chart will be something traditional. So this week I've chosen Bitcoin, Litecoin, and UUUU, which is a uranium stock. We have a lot of eyes watching uranium stocks, so if you haven't paid attention, I think you should start. I'm going to do 2 versions of the video. The first one will be a bit longer, it will be more detailed, a more full analysis showing how I arrived at my Elliott wave counts, while the second one will be just a brief overview of what we're looking at. So let's go ahead and start on Bitcoin. I got to turn the log off here. I don't know why the log's turned on at all. Actually, might be helpful on UUUU later. And we might be able to use it on Bitcoin. We'll take a look here. If you're not familiar with what the difference is between log and linear, log uses more of a percentage difference. So when you have a price difference, such as 85%, log makes those moves look a little bit more equivalent because they aren't moving based on price, they're moving based on a percentage. So a move from 3,100 to 4,200 is 35%, where 35% here would be something like this. And if we look at this on linear, this looks way smaller than this because this is based on price movement, not based on a percentage movement. So I sometimes use the log chart when I am looking at a long-term analysis. So we're going to start with our overview. Obviously, we had a massive move up and here. I'm not too concerned with what your count is before all this. All I'm going to discuss today is what the count is, in my views, after the correction started. We clearly started a corrective move here, and we, in my opinion, we remain in a corrective move down here. So I got to give a big shout out to AP, FriendsCallMeAP on Twitter. He is the one that originally proposed to me that this right here is a flat. And I tend to agree with this. I should preface this a little bit. We look at Elliott wave a little bit different in our group than what many groups do. Essentially, we're looking for impulses and we are looking for corrections. An impulse will generally move very quickly and cover a lot of price. A correction will move slowly and cover a lot of time, not much price. For instance, here, this is an issue with log, sorry. We had an impulse, and since then we have what appears to be a correction against that impulse. We'll get into more detail about this later, about this segment through here, but this is how I see it for the time being. Impulse correction. Essentially an impulse, although it's not it's an ABC zigzag in my opinion. It's essentially serving as an impulsive move with a lot of corrective movement afterwards. So if this is a running flat, how does that fit into the rest of the count? Also, this here was a completed ABC in my mind. And I would say it's probably of a higher degree than this move here. Let's make it a different color. Let's go ahead and go with the yellow. Oops, sorry. So we should, after this massive run up, we should have expected a complex correction. So in my opinion, this ABC here is part of a W wave. If you aren't familiar with WXY combos or WXYZ combos, they can be very complicated. I'm going to set these aside for now so that we can come back to them in just a little bit. But we're going to take these up a degree. And I will be the first to admit that when we first finished this ABC, I thought the bottom was in. Crypto had spoiled me. Crypto had given me the impression that the corrections were going to be really quick and we were going to continue up after those corrections. And my foresight was lacking through here. I was disconnected through this whole move. So I'm disappointed in myself for that. But the fact is, now I see clearly we remained corrective through all of this. But for me, when this move came up, I was thinking this was going to be some kind of 1-2 wave. It is clear that that is not the case any longer. So after the W, we had to move up. I believe that this was A. So behind A, we are looking for B and C. Behind A, we had to move down. This, for me, is not a B wave. This, for me, appears to be another subwave of B, or of a WXY. And in fact, I believe that it was a WXY corrective move. And potentially even a WXYXZ again. Actually, let's go ahead and pull the WXYXZ. And we'll take this one down. Just like that. And it can be pink. So since I'm counting this as a larger move of what I consider an impulse, I'm going to go ahead and make it a brighter color. And we will do our stronger impulsive moves in the cool tones and the corrective moves in warm tones. So this, if this is a flat behind our W, then this would make an X wave. And behind that, we have another 3-wave move. For me, this is Y. So, there's a couple different options here. Could this be all of our B? And I'm going to have to take this up a little bit. Actually, let's do it this way. So we will make this micro. And we're going to take this down to sub-minuet. Just like this. So we have a large move here, potentially an ABC. In my opinion, Y could easily be done here. However, I don't believe that that's how it's playing out. This move, following this, I just proposed to you, is corrective. And I believe it's corrective to this move here. So in my opinion, I think we are putting in another X wave to come down for Z, forming a larger B wave, followed by an impulse of C up. This massive wave here, again, this is A, B, C, for me, all makes up an X wave. Followed by one more down in Y. So, in this count, we do not use X or Z. We assume the correction ends as Y completes. For me, that makes two more lows. It makes a low here, followed by a massive move up. Let's pencil it in real quick. Something just like this. So now we've covered my long-term count, my long-term thoughts. And I want to cover how this current move plays into those thoughts. Let me take this off. I'm going to just do this. So remember, we have several impulses in this entire move, but the move overall is all corrective. We are correcting this entire massive move up. Generally, we will expect a correction to take at least as long as the impulse that it's correcting. So if this is our move up, our one-to-one would be April of 2020. And there's arguments that the move up actually started even further back. But this was 2015 after a long drawn-out bear market. So for me, I think this is relevant enough in terms of time. Do we have to take as long? No. Especially on higher degree, we don't necessarily see that. At lower degree, I typically am looking for 2 to 3 times as long as the impulse. Our impulses happen quickly. Our corrections do not. So let's go down to a 4-hour, and I'll complete an overview of lower time frame counts and what I'm expecting. So I think I've already made it clear that I think there's still some more upside before more downside. However, when is that going to come? For me, we have a move here. It's not exactly clear if that move ends here or here. Overall, it doesn't matter to me too much. But if we label this the same way, then we will call this an A. And we'll set these others aside for now. Let me put them at the bottom so A is in the right spot. So let's take the time measurement of this A. This was a significant low for me. And when we got here, I thought this corrective move could be complete. That was more than 4 times as long as the impulse it was correcting. We could go to the next pivot. Oops. I got to pull both of them. Sorry. and you see it was just under 2.5 times as long. So for me, I was thinking, hey, we might be complete here in a flat correcting this. So this would be our A, actually. And we've got an A, B, C behind it. Which we could call B. Do we then get a C up behind that? Well, obviously we didn't, right? We continued to drag out, and that has really mixed up the count overall. So I remain bullish through this. Obviously I made a little bit of money on this move. As we came down and bought this bottom again, and bought this bottom again, and this bottom. So bullishly we made a lot of money through these moves. Actually, we killed this entire move. It was a great month and a half for us. However, based on how the action is played out, I really don't know that B or C are completed at all yet. I'll put them at the top. In fact, I think we are still working on a larger B. So in my opinion, the count is something like this. This was the top of our B. And you guys are going to yell at me for that. Let's call it a WXY, because that's what it is. W, this was the top of our X, and we're putting in a Y here. And then we're looking for C. Like so. And this is a larger flat right here. In that flat, we have a 3, 3, 5 structure. B's are complex, guys. People underestimate corrections. We had to move up here. Sorry, that is not where the move up was. We had to move up here, and since then, we've been contained in a range. Time-wise, this move up has already taken about 10 times as long. Or excuse me, the move sideways has already taken about 10 times as long as the impulse that is correcting. Not quite. We're almost there. Call it 9 times? What did I just say? 0? Whoops. Yeah, so it's already taken 9 times, and I expect it to get to 10 times as long. You should become accustomed to this in B waves. This happened previously. I'm not suggesting that this is 10 times as long, but watch how long this B wave is. 1.5 times as long as the A wave. We covered this ground quickly, and then we slowly trickled down behind it, taking almost 3 times as long to reach this low here. This is what I'm suggesting. Corrective waves take a lot longer than impulsive waves. Get used to it, expect it, either learn to trade the ranges that correction waves form, or don't trade in the corrected moves. We played this one because I was expecting it to be an impulse. And it was. I see, in my opinion, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, at a more detailed analysis, I cannot compare this wave to this wave. They are not equivalent. They are not comparable. These are too different in nature to be of the same degree to me. So, in my opinion, we are still looking for this wave to occur. Ideally, what I want to see is this low to be taken out, and from there we can move up again. So I have been calling for this low to be broken, and people are then going to split bearish, say we're going to make new lows, and then we instead move up. And I believe that this is playing out in an A. A's here, not the other pivot. B and C. I expect C to move pretty quickly overall. So swing traders, there's two massive moves to play here. You've got a large short, and you've got an even better long. All right, guys, that's what I'm going to stick to on my Bitcoin analysis as far as the shorter term moves. I'm going to keep this as an overview video. I've already been running for a while, so if you stuck around, congratulations. We'll cover Litecoin as well. Not in quite as much of detail, but I wanted to, because this is the first video, I want to make sure you have a full overview of where I stand and what I'm looking for. And you should have that by now. All right. You can actually turn log off too. You don't need log on lower time frames. So let's take a look at Litecoin. Let's go up to the daily real quick. A lot of these alts look a bit different, but you still have your flat right in here. However, the difference for me is that I am counting that as an X wave, and then we've got this long drawn out Y wave, and I believe we're putting in another X. So I actually should have taken the other chart to a higher degree, so let's put this as primary. And then we're going to shoot straight back down to the 4-hour chart. So here, we had a move up. And then we had this. To me, this is a flat corrective pattern. This is a base behind it. You can consider this whole thing the ABC. with subwaves right in here. A, B, C. So from there, we've had a massive move up. In terms of price, let's take log off. Okay, it's already off. In terms of price, we have already covered 2 times as much ground as the initial impulse. Let me add a couple more levels here. So we're looking for the completion of the C wave. So we then have something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 going in. And that would be an impulsive move, like this. And these are kind of the levels I expect. The 2.25 and 2.125 extensions at 60 to 62 bucks. I expect to top out there. After completion of that top, what does that make this move? In my opinion, I'm expecting this to be a W move, W wave, followed by an X and a Y. And I expect that X to take a lot of time. First of all, I expect it to take at least as long as the W that it's correcting. So we can call that here. And then the Y behind it. So what I'm expecting on Litecoin, once we complete this next move, is an absolutely massive range like this, and possibly longer. In fact, probably longer. The X wave would be very complicated. Something like that. So there is a pretty massive short here, but overall, I'm expecting it to range for several months. I didn't really talk about the basing potential. My overall count could be completely wrong. I'd be okay with that. Y could be complete right here. And then we could be forming some kind of A, B base before starting a new impulse up. I would absolutely love that. I'm looking along anyway. So if we start a new impulse up, then great, I'm long. The AB base is quite controversial in all of crypto, well, in all of Elliott wave charting, not just related to crypto. FriendsCallMeAP really say that it doesn't exist. Elliott suggested the AB base, and you really can't find any hard defined rules about what an AB base looks like. But the fact is, basing patterns have to exist. We have to have some kind of basing pattern somewhere. So the AB base does make sense to me. Could we be putting in an AB base here? with a simple A move and a complex B behind it? Yes, possibly. I have no way to even label that on the chart, except for just hiding the C wave like you saw me do with other waves previously. They don't give you an AB in here. So that is quite possible that we are forming some kind of basing pattern here. And if that's the case, you definitely want to be buying in once we reach this next level. Same for Litecoin. Litecoin could be forming some kind of basing pattern here. However, I don't think it's close to the end of it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is all wave 1. But primarily, I think that we are forming some kind of large, extended, complex corrective move. All right, so that's all I've got on Litecoin. That's all I've got on Bitcoin. That's all I've got on Litecoin. Let's move to one more, UUUU. And we are going to start, we'll start on a weekly, actually. Shout out to SmartContracter on Twitter. He was one of the first that really started looking at the uranium stocks. And let me show you why. As you notice, I don't really use volume too much unless I want to look at confirmations through using volume. So I hide it from my chart until I decide, hey, it's time to put my volume on. In fact, it's not even colored properly. But you see the rise in volume as we've gotten to this bottom. And this right here could be some kind of AB base. In fact, that's exactly what I'm referring to. You see some kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what is this? How do you count this? In my opinion, this is very well some kind of AB basing pattern. Whether you call it an AB base or something else, it looks like some kind of basing pattern to me. We have some kind of A wave move down, a B here, and then a C completing. And then we have this basing pattern right here. So out of that, we expect an impulse. I'm going to turn log off so you can get a better view of reality here. Take a look at this. If you have not been looking at uranium stocks, you should start. 600% to the time. Sorry guys, it's a new background color for me. I darkened my background just a little bit. So I have to switch from black to white. So this is what we're looking for. We are looking for a massive move on uranium stocks. Not just UUUU, there's several out there. URA, I don't even know them all. So is that move starting already? I would propose no that it's not. I've already shown you the volume, so let's take the volume off. I don't want that anymore. This was our basing pattern right here. So after that basing pattern, I see an impulse that's starting and a correction behind it. We can count that as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm not too big on counting waves, guys. You see me do it sometimes, but primarily what do I see here? I see a flat correction, which suggests this is a 4. I see some kind of ABC right in here. I see another flat right in here. Of a smaller degree, obviously, than this one, so this must be a subwave of this move. But I previously told you, after an impulse, what do we see? We see a correction. So that is now what I'm waiting for. We've got an impulsive move. That was actually kind of slow, which is okay. The market is shifting. But we would then expect a corrective move behind it. Is that corrective move complete? I don't see how it could be. I don't believe that it's taken enough time. Now it is, I'm proposing that it's wave 2. Wave 2s move faster than wave 4, for example. But I don't believe that this corrective move is complete yet. So what we can clearly see here is that we do have an ABC down. Right in here, A, B, C. So how do we label that? I'm going to use W because I like to use WX4. This is most likely a W, and then we're looking for the X and the final Y. I initially thought, hey, this is X, so we're going down in Y. But now I realize better. That was too fast for X. So what I believe is happening here is a 3, 3, 3, 5 flat. Kind of like that. Once you start seeing these flats, guys, you can't unsee them. They happen all the time. A, B, C. It could be right in this area. And then I believe we head down from 1. We can actually take a bars pattern right here of this Y move, or excuse me, of this W move. And that's what we'd be expecting from the top here. Something similar in time, size, etc. Let's zoom out one more time. And measure the time that passed for this wave 1. If we're going to stick to the correction should be as long or longer than the impulse, then this could just be a larger W wave. R2 could be way out here. However, I'm suggesting that you should buy the bottom of this. Why? Well, 600% is why. These have been basing for a long time. Since 2016, end of 2016, these started a basing type pattern. So it is very possible that our correction does not take as long as what I'm counting as an impulse in this scenario, with this being a 1-2 wave. 2s are traditionally sharper than wave 4s, so this sharp move could be the entire correction of this 1 wave. However, I am expecting more downside. So where should we expect that to land? Let's take a measurement from our top here to the bottom of our W, and then from the projected top of our C. It could be anywhere in here. And then we're looking at a 1-to-1, 2.07, and we also have some prior activity in that range. For me, this is my buying range. So you don't have to buy immediately. What you can do is draw some kind of trend line on this final move, on this piece as well as this down piece. And as we break above those levels, you're looking for your buy-in. But the next move up could be pretty massive. If this was all wave one, then we could be looking for a wave three. That does that at a minimum. So $2 to $2.20 is really my buy-in range, and then you're looking for some pretty massive upside. Volume confirms that this is highly likely. You'll see volume pick up even more in R3 wave. If this is accurate, the volume would be massive in the 3 wave. Alright guys, that's really all I've got. I know I went pretty long. If you have any questions, feel free to post them at the bottom. And you can always get analysis like this, detailed analysis on high and low time frames by joining us in Discord. Just go to cryptocurrencyvip.com. Link is in the description below. I'll also be posting a shorter version of this where you can see just the overall counts without the full detailed analysis, and you can catch that this week. You can catch the next one. I'll always post those together so that you can see both sides. If you want to spend the time to learn the full counts, I'll go into more detail in the longer video. If you just want to see the analysis, I understand. We don't all have time to listen to me. I don't even have time to listen to me. So you can get those thoughts in the shorter video. All right, thanks for listening. We shall see you in the next one.